It's raining, it's pouring. It's a fine day for burning bridges. We're going to talk about Gibson bridges today. Got a pile here, and we'll just talk Gibson style ABR-1s, Nashville bridges, and then I think I'm going to install a Faber kit with these threaded adapters. So if that interests you, stay tuned, and we're going to go through all that in this episode. All right, just jumping in here real quick. This is me in the future of the filming of this video, coming back in time to just give you a heads up. This whole process doesn't go to plan. We hit a major snag, get a major failure on a part, but we learned something. I was going to scrap the video, but if you want to see the way that this process starts out, but how it can go wrong, then stick around because it goes wrong, and we'll take this back again. But just, you know, if you're interested in the process, and then when shit goes wrong, stick around, keep watching. Yeah. Welcome back to the show we like to call 59er Winder Show. I am your favorite disheveled guitar nerd. Maybe, maybe not, whatever. We're going to talk about Gibson bridges today. There was a video I was going to do, but I decided not to do because the test recording, like test video of sound, like before and after swapping bridges, I couldn't hear the difference as well on the video compared to in person in the room, acoustically and plugged in. And I didn't want to waste all the time to make a video that would end up not really. It's one of those tricky things where these things here, like you need to try it for yourself to hear the difference. And recording with a video, like a video camera, and then the compression of that, and then editing the video and exporting that, and then uploading that to YouTube, and you know, the compression on that too, you start to lose a lot along the way. So I didn't do the video. So the video in question was hold on, I'll go get it. So my burst replica, originally when I got it, it came with a Faber bridge. This one here, Faber, Germany, with titanium saddles. And there was a certain thinness to the sound. I wasn't sure about this titanium thing. I had a Faber with the brass, so I put that on this guitar, and the sound got better. There's more low end, more mids, and the top end was just sweeter. Over time, though, I noticed that the top end would kind of get a little too warm, almost felt like the tone knob was rolled back to like halfway or something like that. But then if I change the strings with fresh strings, it would brighten up again. There's the sound I'm looking for. And it would, once you break in the strings, that top end would just kind of, right? Kind of like going from the tone knob on 10 to like 5 or 6. And I've been battling with that on and off. And but I like the tone of the guitar. I just wish it had a little bit more clarity. So I tried going back to the titanium Faber, and it didn't so much brighten the top end as much as just take away the lows and the mids and the upper. Like it gutted the body of the tone, and then just revealed the top end that was there. It didn't really add top end to what was already there. It took away everything else in order to reveal more top end, sort of. That's sort of what I got with this guitar. Now there's, you go online and you'll see one guy will say, oh, this bridge with these saddles gave my guitar a whole new life, and the sustain on it is incredible. Another guy will come in and is like, I put that same bridge on with the same saddles and I lost all my sustain. My guitar was dead, and I went back to the old bridge and it came back again. So every guitar is a bit different. So, there's different changes and stuff. So anyways, long story short, I read somewhere through, because I'm on, like, I look on forums too. I'm not really active in them, but I do look in to see what kind of results are people getting from certain experiments that I'm currently looking into doing or in the process of doing or whatever. And a lot of people were saying that in some guitars, the brass Faber bridge gave it a good tone, but took away the top end or took away the sustain, and and they moved away from that. So anyways, I had a parts order that I had to put in, and I threw in a Gibson ABR-1 just to see, let's see what that does, right? So what I have on here is a Gibson ABR-1, the one with the wire. I'm not sure if it's custom shop or just not custom shop. Really, it's essentially the same shit. You just pay a premium for it to say custom on the package. But I got it and put it on this guitar, and the immediate thing I noticed was it doesn't sound that different than it did before. But over time, as the strings broke in, it still has its top end clarity. The top end that I was looking for out of this guitar just was there, but it didn't lose any of the low end, the mid range, all the sweetness and the body of the tone. It didn't lose any of that. So for now, this bridge is going to stick on this guitar, which brings us to the next thing. So the whole point of the bridges is there is no one answer, like the one bridge to rule them all. You know, it's all about the guitar. This guy right here, the 2016 traditional, had a different problem. It was very bright, like too bright acoustically, and that translates through the pickup because the pickup does react somewhat like a microphone. So the guitar's character does come through, especially when you're talking about PAF spec pickups, because they're not potted. They tend to have a bit more microphonics. Not that they go and squeal as soon as you turn on an overdrive pedal, but the guitar's character comes through. So, and that's sort of kind of like the PAF secret. It's not so much that the pickup is magic, it's that the pickup gets out of the way of the guitar. The guitar is wood because it's so old and aged and seasoned, and it resonates. So that comes through the pickup, through the speaker. So you can get a set of real 59 PFs and put it in a new Gibson Les Paul. It's not going to sound like the burst it came out of. It's going to sound like that guitar with that set of PFs in it. You can get brand new hand wound PFs into that 59 burst, and it's going to sound like that 59 burst. That's how it works. A lot of it is the wood and the way it resonates, the way it's aged and seasoned and dried over time, right? They built it out of old wood, and now that old wood that became a guitar is now like 70 plus years old. It's been around a while. It's been vibrating, you know, playing and stuff for a while. It is an organic chunk of craftsmanship, so it's age does do something to it. The finish wears away, gets more brittle. It impedes the resonance of the whole body. Like, for example, this 2016, when I first got it, I got it new. It's the first and the only guitar I ever got brand new with my own money. And when I got it, the finish was still soft and sticky. Like I could take my fingernail and push it in. And it took, so it was a 2016 model. I would have got it probably around mid to late 2016. So it was probably made in 2015, 2016, something like that. It took about 4 years for that finish to harden, but it's a lot thicker than those old ones too. But it also resonates a lot different than it did back then. So things do change with age. But the other point that's important, aside from the wood and the way it's constructed and the glues, and is the contact points for the string. The thing that's, you know, you throw energy into the string becomes energy, and it gets absorbed through the guitar, and the guitar, the wood and the everything affects the way that energy continues to move the string, and that affects the sound. And then also the way how loud it is and stuff, then the pickups will pick up the natural character through that. So one of the big important things in a guitar's contact points of the string is, of course, the bridge. The bridge, the posts that go into the body, the tailpiece, and the studs for the tailpiece, the stop bar. All those points there really change the way a guitar sounds acoustically, resonates, and thus sounds plugged in. So in some cases, like in the 2016, I have a Faber bridge just like this one with the brass saddles. What that did to that one is it didn't really so much tame the really harsh, bright end, the high end, like the treble that the guitar had naturally. It sweetened it a little bit, but what it did is it allowed more of the lows and mids to come back into the mix. So that's kind of a good thing, right? Because then you can roll back the tones to shave off the highs if it's too bright, right? That's why those knobs are there, those tone knobs, to shave off some top end, right? So there's that. And then you could also get different pickups. Like you can get something with like an Alnico 2 instead of an Alnico 4. Maybe have them wound just a little hotter, because the more you wind a pickup, the more turns you put on a bobbin, the more DC resistance it gets. You're going to get more. You're going to lose you start to lose your top end, and then your mids start to fatten up, and so do the lows. So that's why when you get a way overwound pickup, they sound dark, nasal, and bassy, and it can get very woolly, especially in a neck pickup. So I'd rather have a guitar that's just a touch on the too bright side, because you can always roll that tone back or EQ your amp or whatever. In this case, for the 2016 Trad, this was the answer. It nudged it right in a spot where I can totally work with it. So that's that bridge. In the burst replica that I first had, that I first brought out in this video, it seemed to kill some of the sustain just a little bit, and it rounded off a bit too much treble. So is it a bad bridge? No, this is a great bridge. This is a great choice, but it's not always the right choice. Same goes with all sorts of other bridges and hardware and parts and stuff. Upgrades, they're not always an upgrade. So these are two options. I still haven't found something where this titanium bridge, the titanium saddles, where it really improves the guitar. I haven't found a guitar that gets improved by this bridge yet. What I might end up doing is ordering brass saddles from Faber and just putting it on this bridge, converting them to brass. I tend to prefer the brass, so that's what I'll do probably with the titanium one, because they haven't worked yet. Maybe I'll find a guitar where it actually does work, but so far my experience has been brass is usually a good choice. And then I got a few others here. This is just an ABR-1. I think this is a Goto ABR-1. And then I had to ream these holes out, because this originally went on that one because it had the bigger Allen key posts. I think Gibson is using Allen key posts again, but they're smaller, and I think they might fit ABR-1 style holes. I'm not sure, but I digress. I had this one. I'm not sure what these saddles are, but it looks like brass actually. But for some reason, this bridge with the posts and everything that the 2016 had stock didn't do what I was hoping for. It wasn't shaving down the highs, or sorry, yeah, it wasn't shaving down the highs. It sort of did that a little bit, but it didn't bring in the body. So that's when I ended up getting the Faber, and that fixed the low end and the mids and stuff. I'm flying by the seat of my pants here, so sorry if I'm a little all over the place here, but that's that, right? And then I have one here, which is an old Japan one from an old, this would have been a lawsuit Les Paul copy. I think it came off of a white custom Les Paul El Degas, I think, this bridge. But it has the nylon saddles. And I never used this one, and I took it off the guitar that I had this on because it dulls the sound. So sometimes you have one that rings too hard. So maybe this guitar would benefit from nylon saddles. These are more like plastic though, so I would probably get actual nylon saddles. But if you have something that's way too bright, or if you want to dull in your guitar and have no sustain, you would have more of a thump kind of sound to it. There is no right or wrong answer here. Maybe this is the way to go, right? But then we take on to some cheaper alternatives. This might be a Goto, it might be something else, but it's essentially like in size, it's like halfway between Nashville Bridge and Tune-o-matic Bridge, like ABR-1 Bridge. So it's got almost the shape and style of the Nashville. It's a little smaller, like this way. It's not as wide. It's a little smaller, almost like the ABR-1. Actually, let's compare it to the Faber here. Right? I don't know if you can see that. It's just a touch wider this way than an ABR-1. But it's narrow, like it's not as wide as a Nashville. I'm pointing over here because I've got a guitar here that we're going to get to. But this is the problem you get here. I don't know if you can hear this, but we'll see if that comes through the camera while I'm editing it. All these screws here are like just a little loose and wobbly. And that play, even though the string will put pressure on it, you can sometimes still hear rattle. And it sometimes can be confused with buzzing. So people, like I have had quite a few guitars actually come in here. They said, it's buzzing all over the place. I don't know what to do. And I check it, and it's the bridge saddles. Just a little bit of vibrating. You could hear it. It rings like crazy. So you don't want to cheap out on these bridges, especially if you're putting it in a good guitar, or if it's a guitar that doesn't necessarily have to be a really expensive one, but one that you play a lot and you want it to perform. You get what you pay for. It is worth getting a better bridge, all that jazz. So that's bridges. You can get a lot of expensive ones. Like there's Four Brothers. Let me look it up. It's called the Four Uncles Bridge. They've had a bunch of real ABR-1s. They figured out like the makeup of all the metals to make the bridge and the saddles, and it's as close as you can get. I see one here on Reverb that's sold for $581 Canadian. Not everyone wants to pay $400, $500, $600 for something like this, right? The Fabers are a good choice. Are they vintage accurate? As vintage accurate as the Four Uncles Bridge? Probably not, but they're close and they're very well made and the materials are really good. So I do recommend Faber, but trying it on your guitar may or may not be the right choice. The only way you can really figure that out is buying it, trying it, and coming to your own conclusions. Because every guitar is different and hardware will mix different guitars. If you play EMG pickups, then it probably doesn't matter if your bridge is made of concrete and your guitar is made out of lucite or whatever. It's going to sound like those pickups. But with PAFs and that sort of stuff, bridges make a big difference. So that's kind of like the nutshell of bridges stuff. ABR is good. I'm having really good luck with that Gibson one. I mean, they're making good stuff. It is what it is. Goto is a good brand too, but we'll get to that we'll get to that right now, actually. So this is my Goldtop. Now, if you go on the website, romainepickups.com, a lot of the guitars that are on the site, especially the ones where you see them all like scratched and dinged and worn and fucked up and stuff, even scratched on the pickup, that's because those are my guitars and I do play them. I'm not in this whole guitar and pickup thing to become a millionaire. It is my passion, and I choose to do the pickups thing to share my passion with whoever likes to share that passion too, right? If you like guitars and tone and upgrading your stuff, getting pickups and stuff, that's why I'm sharing that there. I would be doing this if there was no internet. I would be doing this if I lived in a place where there was nobody. My passion is this. Guitar has been with me my whole life. It's been the thing that no matter what happens in life, I can always rely on picking up a guitar, playing, and eventually things will feel like they're going to be okay. So, and I know I'm not unique. I know that there's a lot of people like that. So that's why I'm doing this. That's why I make pickups. That's why I'm talking to you guys through this camera by myself in this room to put videos up. So this is my Goldtop. It's on the website. It's on one of the banners. And yeah, it is all mangled and shit because I do play them. I got this guitar as a husk. Full transparency. It had pretty much nothing. I think it came with the tuners, but the tuners were in a bag. He got it on the trade. His plan was to fix it up and refinish it and whatever. And his plans for refinishing were kind of on the fence. And we made a deal, and I got a husk, and then I built it all out and made it a guitar again. So that's what this is. It came with the tailpiece studs and the bridge posts that are gold. That was not original to this guitar, but the previous owner threw it on there. I didn't have the tailpiece and I didn't have the bridge. I'm assuming the person who had this all converted to gold. I kept them in, and it's been sounding great. But I had to get this bridge, and it's a Godo bridge. And it's not doing it now because I got the camera on and it wants to prove me wrong. So, long story short, there's a rattle that originates at the bridge. I don't know if you could see that, but there's little nuts on the back sides, right? And then the screws to adjust the saddles for the intonation are on this side here. And they were kind of getting a little loose, so I tightened those. So pliers or a little wrench on the nut side, and then you just hold it there and then turn the screw in and it tightens itself up. That seemed to help for a minute, and then it started rattling again. So having freed up my brass saddled Faber and having some other key hardware here, I think I'm going to convert this to ABR-1. And I'm bringing you along. So stick around, man, and we're gonna install a kit here. So I did the same mod to this guitar where essentially, and I just take this apart here real quick. Normally an ABR-1 the proper way, so the custom shop way, the way my replica is. I keep pointing over there because it's over there and it's not even in the shot. How ridiculous am I? Bursts and all that, they would have, it's like a 632, essentially like a bolt without a head, right? Like it's a threaded post. Longer than this, it's about this long, normally. And that's threaded right into the wood, right? And then you have the thumb wheel that's on the ground. So the threaded thumb wheel, right? The thread on here, right? Something like that. And your bridge sits on top, right? And then you can adjust the height with this. So what these are is what they call like a conversion post. Right, so you got a bigger threaded section here and then the 632 here. So what this big section here is, it's I think it's M5. Here's the tap for it. Right, when you tap threads into a hole. So it's an 8mm by 1.25. Drill bit size you need is 17/64 of an inch. So we won't even need to drill anything. So what this is, and I'm going to find it here real quick for you. I was able to get these when I got a bridge for this one, the Faber bridge. I got their conversion kit and installed it the way that they suggest to do it. These ones I ended up getting for when I had my Epiphone 335. I wanted to use one of these Faber bridges. Actually, my plan was to use this titanium one. And what Philadelphia Luthier Supply sells it as is a conversion conversion post. I'm searching online here. I'm going to post the screenshot, and there'll be links in the description on these parts. Where are they? Yeah, so you got a conversion post Nashville to ABR-1. That's not this one. The one that these are is the conversion post import Nashville to ABR-1. So what this is the Epiphones have a bushing pressed into the wood, and then the height adjuster post threads into that. Same like the Nashville post that you'll see here. It's a bushing pressed in and it threads into that. What these are for these conversion posts from import Nashville style to ABR-1 is you take the import post out and you just screw this into the bushing, the metal bushing in the body. So there's no modification, you just swap parts basically. But then what happens is this still rattles in the bushing a little bit, right? And so any of that space, that eats up tone, that eats up the connection from the energy of the string with the body, right? They're all interface parts. But the Faber conversion posts are the exact same as this, right? So this is saying, sorry, it's not an M5. This is an M8 by 1.25. M8, 8 millimeter by 1.25. So that's the size and the thread, right? But the top part is 632. So it fits in the ABR-1. If I would have got the Nashville, like the USA Nashville to ABR-1 post conversion, this is skinnier because it's meant to thread into the Nashville's bushing, bridge bushing that is on this Goldtop that we're going to remove. So we're using the import conversion from like Epiphone Nashville style bridge to an ABR-1 that would thread into the bushing. We're threading this into the wood. We don't have to drill a hole. We just have to thread the hole in the body with this. So that's what we're going to do. So here we are at the guitar. I figured I'd do this so you could kind of see not just top, but kind of on an angle too. Hopefully that kind of gives you a better view of it. I've gone ahead and loosened the strings. You don't have to remove the strings for this. If you want to, and it's fine too. But these strings, I put them on just the other day and this bridge started vibrating. So you can carefully just pull that off these with your strings loosened enough. Now, I don't know if it's going to do it, but can you hear that? There's a bit of a rattle, and that is these are the saddles. They're just rattling in here. Something's loose, something's not right. And when you have it under strings, you strum it, and the right frequency, right from the right note, just makes this thing just resonate and rattle. And naturally, it does come through the pickups, but also you hear it acoustically in the room, and it annoys the shit out of me. So we're gonna not use this Goto bridge anymore. But it is a good quality bridge. Goto Japan. It just, for some reason, it's something got worn down or something. So, and this one doesn't. It's dead quiet. So, all right, strings are off. Now you want to pull out these posts. So the threaded part that goes into these bushings is an M5. So if you get a bridge and like the whole kit, the conversion kit from Faber, and if it's not the press-in kind, if it's the threaded kind like this, you'll get a little tool, and I can't find that tool somewhere, but I did find another M5 bolt. This one here is a Robertson head, so whatever, I'll use this, right? It's just to lift these out. So what you do is you thread these in till they bottom out in the body. And then once it gets tight, you use a screwdriver or whatever to drive it further. And it's going to push against the body and pull the bushing out. So you just kind of keep turning it up and you can kind of see the bushing get pulled out. There you go. Right, and there's the hole. And this is what we're going to be threading in there. And it is going to widen this hole. So this is pretty much a permanent mod unless you plug the hole and re-drill, and then you can go back to these, or you can go back, or you can go to just ABR-1 posts too if you plug the holes in. I don't want to do that. There's one. Same thing on the other. So there's the second bushing, right? So this is what I meant by, like, you know, we got two pieces, whereas this will be two pieces as well, but you got one piece in contact with the bridge, as opposed to this is two pieces from the bridge to the body. Before you start tapping these holes, this one here, it's like a thin nitro satin finish, so it's not quite as crucial, but the higher gloss ones have thicker stuff. You want to score the edges of this, otherwise you're going to get cracks and chips and stuff. You really don't want that. So what I'm using is this kind of bit here. I don't even know what it's called. It's got that bevel shape and the sharp cutters. You don't need a drill. You don't need to use a drill on it. You just use your fingers, put it on the hole, press a little downward, and turn. Now, I don't know if you could tell, it kind of just beveled the edge there. Right, and that's what's going to do with your finish, so that as you tap it, it's not going to dig into that finish, bite into it, and start chipping it up. So, and it also helps seat the tap. So that's that step. Now we pull this guy out. That's all threaded, and these are cutters. Right, you need one of these or some kind of thing to turn this. So we're going to use this tool here. That, right? We'll just line it up in the hole, try to turn straight, and keep the tap bit perfectly straight. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's cutting into the wood, right? It's cutting threads. Okay, and I think I've bottomed out. So now we'll just turn. And I'm not putting any pressure up or down. I'm just turning it, letting the teeth, the cutters bite into it. Okay, and we got about this far in. Okay, so I'm going to put this in here just to kind of get a loose measurement on the bite. Right, if you go like this, it looks like it's going to be sticking out a little bit. So I might actually have to drill this down a little bit. Didn't really want to do that, but I might have to. But maybe it was just getting caught with wood, so we'll just try it again. Just put a little mark on the bit so I can kind of see a more accurate depth. Right, so you can see the mark there, right? So if I put this flush with the bottom, it's going to stick out a little bit. So I'm going to have to drill that down. Funny story, my 2016 traditional, I didn't have to do that. That's okay. While we're doing this, I can tap the other side, and then I'll have to get a drill just a little more depth, because you don't want to be threading these into the body and out and in and out. Like you want to go in once, ideally, because if you have to pull them out again to drill it out deeper, you could run into problems there. Now this one seems to be going a little deeper, I think. No, it's about the same. We're going to have to drill. So I'm going to do that off camera. We'll put this down. Make sure there's no debris in there. And now we're at this depth. So I think we're probably good. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Oh yeah, first I got to thread this guy further. All right, let's check the depth on this guy. We got a good depth on that one. There we go. Okay, so now we can start threading these in. And the way you do that is you get some 632 nuts. Like this. And this. And what you want to do is tighten these into each other. Like this. And then you get, so these are 632 threaded nuts. I've got an 8mm wrench here that fits on these. So now you just carefully start threading them in. Eventually it'll get tight. And then you use your wrench. Well, you'll want to, like, you could tape this all off and put protection stuff. If you really wanted to, you could take the strings off and take this out and take the pickup out and move it out of the way, pick guard, that sort of thing. Protect the finish. But like I said, there's not a whole lot of finish to protect off of this. So I kind of like the way that this guitar looks all used and abused. So what I'm doing here is threading it so that the top of this is kind of flush with the top of the guitar. And it seems like I might have stripped the nut here. All right, well, here's where the disaster part of this whole video is. So I thought originally when I was driving this thing into here, I thought that these were stripping because they look like cheap metal. Turns out it was this. That's the other one. Here's the other one. So what happened was, I don't know if you can see that, but it started stripping the screw itself. Now, if I grab I got to pick up here. It is steel because it is, or has some steel in it. It is sticking to magnets. But it's very shitty soft metal. So don't get the Philadelphia luthier one for this type of job. Use it for the import conversion where you thread this right into the metal bushing that's already in the body of the, like, say, an Epiphone. It seems like it's some soft metal, soft steel. It broke off when I was trying to get it out and it wouldn't. And then so I took vice grips to clamp on this to try and back it out. And this just broke off like it was butter. So then I had to take a Dremel with this kind of bit and just carefully smooth the top of it and then cut a flathead slot. And then I took a flathead screwdriver and slowly backed it out. So, fuck, that did not go the way I wanted it to. And obviously it didn't go the way that my 2016 did. So my initial thought was here, let's just fucking do this here. Scraggly face, right? You want to see this probably. So my initial thought was, fuck it, scrap the video, not even share it. I was gonna throw it in the garbage, basically, delete the whole video. But you know what? In light of transparency and show you that it doesn't always go the way you want, I'm guessing these are shitty quality steel, probably overseas stuff that, it looks solid and it feels solid and it looks like it would be good, but if it stripped this easy and then broke off fairly easily, like, how would this actually fare with under string tension. So this video, this what started as a how-to is going to turn into me ordering the Faber parts. Now, I was going to put the links in the description of all this so you can get it. Well, I'm definitely not putting the Philadelphia luthier link to this product for this type of application. I'm not putting the link because you shouldn't be using these apparently. A lot of times you find out the hard way, just like I did, just like we did. So at least this is my money, not yours. So you're saving money by watching me fuck up a part and having to order stuff. So the good news is, though, is that there's still a fair amount of bite on there, on the old bushings. So the old rattly Nashville Bridge is going to go back on the guitar, and I'm going to order up the Faber version of these, and I'm going to compare them. And then we're going to try this video again as a part 2 to this, or addendum, or whatever they call it. And we're going to, you know, they're already threaded, so we don't really have to do much. We've already drilled them a little bit deeper because this one needed a bit more depth. And so then we're going to try it again with the Faber one, which is, I guess maybe this is a good thing, because now we're going to test the quality of the Faber one. And if the Faber one fails like this one, like this one did, then I'm going to get, I'll be at a point where I can't recommend this mod anymore. And then the best alternative to try and get to as close as the 50 setup will be to plug the holes with a maple dowel, shave it, and drill out new holes, and just put just the posts that are like this thread size, right? The 632, like actual ABR-1 posts. Maybe I'll do this to this guitar. I don't know, but for now we're going to put this bridge back on, and this video is kind of, it's not entirely pointless, right? We ran into an issue. That happens all the time, right? Mechanics run into this. You know, you're fixing one thing, but then something breaks, and you get a whole Easter egg hunt of fixes to end up back at where you started to fix the thing you're there for. Kind of the same concept here. So we did all this work for nothing. And that's that. So I'm gonna put this bridge back on. We're gonna tune this sucker up, and we're gonna wrap this shit up because it's already way too long for the end result. Well, fuck, eh? Lesson to be learned here is that not everything in life that you have planned goes to plan. And that's where we're at. So those bushings and those things went back in. The old Buzzy Bridge is back in. And yeah, I think I'm going to order the the Faber ones. We'll see how they fare. I'll order them, and we'll test, and we'll see. And hopefully they're a stronger steel than these shitty ones were. So again, these are the Philly luthier conversion posts for import to Gibson ABR-1. Maybe just save these for when you're converting an import and you're keeping the bushings in, and you thread this into the bushings. Jury's out on the strength and quality of the Faber ones. We'll find out in a later video. Until then, I am annoyed, frustrated, a little pissed off, but life kind of throws you curveballs, and that's what you got to do. You got to adapt and keep moving on. You can't just stay put and stew in your crock pot of misery. So that's been this week's video. Sorry guys, it didn't turn out the way it's supposed to. It was supposed to be all successful, and we were supposed to see a nice Faber ABR-1 on here, and I was supposed to get rid of the buzzy bridge, but not in the cards today. So don't buy this part unless you're going to use it in the actual Epiphone bushings. If you want to do this kind of mod that I was trying to do today, I guess get the Faber, but wait on that. I'm going to check that, and I'm going to do the dirty work for us so that you don't end up wasting money too. But it did go very well and very quick and easy, just the way that I started doing it with this video on the 2016. So I think the steel that Faber's using is better. So that'll be that.